Has made. She's a queen. This is dedicated to all my beautiful queens, all my beautiful ladies out there. She's a queen. Go queen. You got it, girl. She's a queen. You better represent. Go queen. Go queen. Go. She's a queen about her business. Queen. Working hard on a mission. Yeah. Head high, purpose driven. Purpose driven. Crown will never tilted. Queen. Go queen. Go queen. Go queen. Go. Represent. You're a queen. You're a queen. Oh.
Thank you guys for joining another episode of the Key Chat Podcast. And today I have a very special guest. Her name is Miss Tamara Smith, better known as Tam Inspires. And Tam has a great platform. She works with helping women with infertility issues. So that's something I've actually dealt with. So I'm really excited to speak with her. And she's going to talk about her products and the wonderful things that she's doing to help women give birth and enjoy the gift of carrying life. So how are you doing today?
I'm doing very well today. I'm glad to be here.
Glad to speak with you. So you are a fertility juju educator. So like I said, there's a lot I want to cover. So go ahead and explain what you do exactly.
Well, as you explained very well, I'm Tam Inspires. People know me as the Fertility Juju Educator. I help women tap into their spiritual beliefs by tapping into their own juju. We got our own juju. Some people like to pray. Some people like to pray. Some people like to light a candle, talk to ancestors, guides. You know, it's about tapping into the things that aligns with you spiritually. And that way we connect with our spirit babies. We connect with our guides so that our spirit babies can connect with us. Okay, so that they can manifest, meaning be birthed through us, okay, because they want to. But the issue that I'm seeing is our bodies are not prepared. Our womb is not prepared, you know, because of, trauma from we're not even going to get into that too much, but we hold a lot and we can't make room for our babies because of that.
Yeah. And I'm happy you mentioned that. Definitely infertility is something that a lot of women deal with all across the board, all age, colors, background. But, specifically for our community, in our community, a lot of us deal with fibroids, so many reproductive issues, like you just said, trauma, so many things that contribute to a lot of women who are suffering, with infertility. And another thing that you mentioned about the womb not being prepared, I find it to be like so on point what you mentioned, because I think a lot of people don't realize just the trauma alone of carrying a child is a lot of work. And right now, African American women, a lot of us are having high mortality rates giving birth in the hospitals. Like we can go so many avenues, with this conversation. So what inspired you? Like, did you have any personal experiences that just really drove you to have this mission that you're on?
So I've always been gifted of seeing in the spiritual realm. They say a seer, S-E-E-R. I normally see spirit babies. I see a lot of activity in the spiritual realm. And so I started my journey in my 20s getting off of birth control. And I learned how to properly track my cycles the natural way, because I was done with birth control. It was causing so many other problems that was even worse than what, I went in for. And so I started teaching. I got certified as a fertility educator. I was teaching my family and friends with success to prevent pregnancy. And then I started teaching women the same course, but they were getting pregnant. And then I added the spiritual side to it because I was seeing these spirit babies. And I'm like, you know what? Someone asked me, do I do readings? Do I offer consultations? And I was like, you know what? People see your gifts before you. And that just means you need to walk in it. And so here I am walking in it. And I have over 200 plus women that have conceived because I'm walking in it.
So tell us more about this process, when you meet, these women, like exactly how does the process start? How do you help them? Like, let's go over everything and how this works.
Okay, so most of my Juju mamas, that's what I call my Juju mamas. They social media is such a blessing because I can reach so many people all over the world, and so they're aligned with me. There's no I can't really say it's really my hand in it. I just show up and let the algorithms do what it does. And so when they come to me, they either come to me in my comments and I redirect them to my website. And they have the option of choosing a fertility reading where I use cards, I use my intuition. Sometimes I use different bones and shells to read. I also offer monthly rituals. A lot of my Juju mamas are manifesting, doing their own thing with my monthly rituals. Some are using products. Some are using my courses and my ebooks. It's just like, it's many ways to skin a potato, and they're choosing the way that works best for them. So yeah, that's how they connect with me, mainly social media and also by word of mouth. Thank y'all for doing word of mouth. That's a blessing to me because it's more personable,
Yeah. So what has been one of your experiences that stands out the most with, all the women that you have blessed and helped?
It's the shock factor. Sometimes I'm shocked too. I'm like, like when I'm giving inspiration and it flows through my mouth to my Juju mama's ears, it's not me speaking. It is the spirit within me, the creative all speaking through me to my Juju mama. And it's different for every person. I had a Juju mama and I just told her and her partner needs to cleanse and certain other things, that we're not going to talk about, but I saw a lot of different blockages. And a lot of times they don't follow that. They're like, whatever. But they literally followed it step by step, did the work, took the herbs, talked about it, actually had a real conversation. And within 2 months, they became pregnant. They were waiting for 7 years.
Oh, wow.
They got to the root of the problem, both of them. And so a lot of times I see my Juju mamas, it's just the woman. They don't incorporate their partner, which it takes two.
Oh, yeah.
So you have one person healing and the other person just chilling. Right? And so part of our manifestation journey is coming together as one to birth, our blessings. So yeah, that one really stands out, like doing the work, knowing that it's just not always abracadabra. It's like, okay, I'm an abracadabra, but I'm also going to faith without works is dead, in church. Yes. So it's just like that. We got to do the inner work as well as the outer work.
What do you think are some of the common things that are causing issues with women that you have worked with to cause infertility? What are some of, like you mentioned, blockages? What can be some of the spiritual blockages, which I'm sure that's probably like an open-ended question, but a loaded question, but, examples of some spiritual blockages that could, cause issues. And also beyond that part, are you finding like a lot of women? I know, like I said, amongst our community, a lot of us deal with fibroids, like it has caused a lot of issues for women. So a second, how do you, when you come across people that are dealing with fibroids, because I know a lot of people, they are having surgeries for this. Some people prefer the natural way. Are there any natural alternatives as well with that? Because I just know. So like I said, I think I mentioned it before we started recording, I've dealt with fertility issues for sure. I know for a fact I cannot carry any more children, but what could be the cause, like, when you're finding the spiritual portion and also the physical portion that we can see, obviously?
Right. So, right. So, I can see in a lot of my readings that the spiritual reasons are a lot of the trauma that we carry are not our own. It's from our mothers, the anger, the bitterness. We carry so much that pain is not ours. We carry it in our heart chakra and we carry it in our wombs. Also, the spiritual consequences of having abortions. Sometimes our spirit baby they're scared because it's like, oh man, you keep taking me back. I keep going back. And I don't know if I want to come back because you've been showing me, and so we got to heal that aspect. And also with our men, they have had a history too. They may be this great man now, this great partner, but they may have had 5 women in the past that have had abortions. And so those babies sometimes can get jealous and they kind of sometimes they affect the spiritual contract that they have with their current partner. It's deep. So yes. The spiritual side is really deep when it deals with the trauma, not properly cleansing after abortions and miscarriages, not acknowledging it, not breaking through. We call it blockbuster, breaking through the blockages. It takes a lot of acknowledgement. It takes a lot of breath work. I mean, there's so many different modalities. You got crystals, you got plant medicine. There's so many different ways, and it doesn't always work with everybody, but that's the spiritual side. And the physical side, which you talk about the fibroids and everything has to do with the endocrine system. The world we live in, everything affects our endocrine system, our hormonal system, the foods we eat, the environment, the stress that we have, the trauma that we carry, all affects that. And it can cause blockages, which are the fibroids, the excess tissue that's causing these blockages being carried in our womb, whether that fibroids, endometriosis, or sometimes PCOS. So issues, environment, the food, especially the foods we eat, the comfort foods, the plants, even though when we go vegan, the minerals are not necessarily natural. We're not getting sufficient minerals and vitamins through our plants as we should. It's a lot of factors. The water we're drinking, tap water that we bathe with, affects our whole endocrine system. It's deep. It's a lot. It is a lot. And it's sometimes like, oh, what's the solution? What's the solution? Yeah. And I mean, again, you have different herbs, but that takes time. Herbal therapy takes a lot of time. We also have different, acupressure, reflexology, massaging. I always tell my Juju mamas, massage your womb. Get some cold pressed castor oil, massage your womb. Like really connect with it because it is a circulation issue. A lot of us have our wombs are too cold, our bodies are too cold. And so we need to kind of heat it up. We really do need to heat it up. Often and with intentions, energetically, Reiki, sending that energy. Yeah, we send energy back into ourselves. We need to self-heal. I think that's what we look for other people to heal us when we have the power to self-heal us, but we have to tap in. I always say we got to tap in, and that's where the education comes in, and the awareness. Yeah,
that definitely sounds deep with a lot of layers. So. And another thing that, like I said, it's very heartbreaking for women who can't carry a child. Like I said, I do have children, but I have had issues with infertility. So I understand. I've experienced several miscarriages. So I know how it feels, just to experience that loss, or you just can't do something that you may have wanted to do. But unfortunately, like we were saying, some women carry a lot of pain, shame, guilt, and they feel like they're less than a woman because they can't carry a child. So what's your thought on that? Like I said, being a mother is such a complicated subject. Carrying a child is a complicated subject because some people desire it so badly. Like I said, when they can't achieve that, sometimes they unfairly sometimes think, well, I'm less than, what is wrong with me? So what's your take on that?
Yeah, with the shame, that feeling, honor that feeling. It's okay to feel that way. Don't let nobody tell you what you're feeling is wrong. Honor that feeling, but don't stay in it. And also, I feel like we do, in order to get into our like higher selves, our real inner self, our inner child self, to know that we feel safe, we're going to have to do a lot of changing our diet, like the fasting part, to hear from our spirit. What does my spirit have to say about this? Not the flesh, not the emotions. What does my spirit have to say about this? Can you show me like there's a better side to this? Show me a better way of looking at this. And it does help. That's where like a lot of the texts, the ancient texts, is because they were fasting. They were actually, you know, very spiritually in tune. Plant medicine, you know, like I know some may be illegal in certain areas, but plant medicine does help out with the anxiety, that shame, getting through the emotional blockages, seeing things from another realm, a different perspective. But definitely honor that, you know, and I know it's hard. I know it's hard. It's hard to get through that feeling. Sometimes I do see spiritually that a lot of my mamas, I'm gonna say it how it is, that's just how I am. A lot of them are not supposed to be with their partners. If they were to switch partners, then they would become pregnant. I see that a lot of times in my readings.
Wow.
Yep, it happens. I see it all through. And deep down they know it. But they got a good partner, you know, and they want to, you know, stick beside them. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's an honorable thing. But somewhere deep down, they know that choosing a partner that may be more biologically aligned with them will result in a baby. And that person may not be anything. They may not, excuse my language, they may not be shit. But that's just how it is. That's why a lot of my Juju mamas who participate in my ritual, once they mess around with their sneaky link, they get pregnant from their sneaky link and not their long-term partner.
Whoa.
I see it very often. It's
Wow.
not because they couldn't get pregnant. It's just the way some things are sometimes.
The spirit, I meant.
Yeah, right. And it's, we don't know what blockages that partner has as well. Because again, a lot of our men don't do the cleansing. They don't honor the spiritual realm like we do. And so they have a lot of different spirit babies and contracts that they're carrying that could be blocking them as well. Where this woman's doing what she needs to do to clear, he's not.
Right.
So it could be blocking the way, you know? So it's a lot. It's a lot. But that shame, honor it, but you don't have to carry it.
Right.
Yeah. And seek out alternative medicine to deal with those emotions, you know, the psyche part of it.
Right.
It'll help heal. It really will.
Yeah. And I just think it was so important for us to discuss that because, you know, like I said, it's so many layers just to being a woman, what we think we're do, what we should do, you know, that crown gets really heavy. Trying to just being a woman in general, you know, it goes on, you know, whether you should, some women suffer with the whole notion of should they even become a mother in the first place. I just think that women in general, sometimes we're like, damned if we do, damned if we don't. We're ashamed we don't want to become a mother. We're ashamed we have too many children. We're ashamed if we have just
everything. We're ashamed. Yep. Right. Societal pressures. Yep. Right. It's another reason too. Societal pressures is another reason why our cortisol levels are so high. And that really does affect our cortisol, you know, the endocrine system. It really does. It's so much, but I'm so glad you touched on that. Like the shame, like especially with what was going on. Also, Go ahead.
But you know, it's just so many psychological things, you know, that I think sometimes we don't recognize because, you know, we're wanting to know the obvious answer. We want a doctor to say, hey, explain to me why this is happening. Okay, so I get it. You know, but sometimes it gets really deeper than that. And that's when it gets really hard because there's a lot of psychological things behind it, like you just mentioned, spiritual things. And then, you know, just the whole, like I said, the weight that we carry as women just based on all of our decisions.
Yeah, the psychological blockage, the spiritual blockage. Like some women emotionally, something turns on after the reading or something turns on after the ritual. And then they haven't conceived in 10 years or 7 years and Something just opens, something like a flood, like something just opens. And it could be spiritual or it could be the psychological, even energy healing. I was laying hands on myself when I was in college when I had a cyst and the doctor told me to go come back if it gets bigger. And I'm like, I won't be back.
Right.
I'm gonna wait till it gets bigger. So, I met a hippie lady who helped me out with cold pressed castor oil, and she told me to put it on my where my cyst was because I could feel it, and I put a heating pad right before my period and after I had my period, and keep massaging that area. And when I tell you it dissolved in a month, it was gone, just like that. And that's when I was like, I have the power. I have the power through the plant medicine, through meeting people who are wise men and women. It just blew my mind. And like everything, like even I have so many testimonies, even having a period for like 8 days. People say, oh, that's normal, kind of normal. No, it wasn't normal. I went on a fruit fast for 21 days, turned to 41 days. And when I tell you my period was 2 days, no cramps, no nothing, just everything just healed, everything cleared up, just my spiritual life was better. I could hear, I could see clearly, my eyes lightened up, my everything, skin conditions gone.
Wow.
You can smell everything. Honestly, my shit didn't stink. And I'm serious. I didn't have to use deodorant. I didn't have to, none of that. Just
wow.
Just from that change. And yes, I'm not living that now, but that showed me the power that we have when we, so but it takes work. A lot of us don't want to do the work because it's a lot of discipline. It's a lot and it don't feel good. It don't feel good, but so.
Wow. And you also, the power of fasting, like you said, we have power in general, but just fasting alone is something that really makes a difference. Like I said, this can go beyond obviously fertility, and just from a spiritual level, fasting is that really can in our lives, and it ties to manifestation for sure.
And a lot of answers will come. Like if you ask yourself during that time where you're not intaking, the processed foods, the meats, it will come to you quicker.
Right.
It's crazy how it just happens. Like it's just you're just tapped in,
right? Because we do have the choice what we put in our bodies, So the power definitely lies in our hands for sure.
Yeah, it does. Woo. This the discipline part. We all need the discipline part for real.
It sounds deep with a lot of layers. So tell us full line of the fertility products that you have.
So right now I have my Fertility Juju kit, which is pretty much, I wonder if I have it on me right now. I do actually. It is one of my products is a candle. It is a pregnant woman candle. So this is for my sisters who like to do the candle magic. Candles are very popular right now in the spiritual community. So she's a pregnant woman. I have the blur. It's a pregnant woman. They can inscribe their names, use different fertility herbs, set their intentions, or just use it for decorations, but set their intentions to conceive, to birth new blessings. It's not always about fertility. Sometimes you want to birth a job or a better relationship or money. Green is the color of growth, healing, babies. And I also have my Fertility Juju oil. Again, fertility is more than having a baby. It's birthing things. Okay, so I have that in my prayer card. A lot of us come from the church, and I got a nice prayer back here, just for them. And it really is powerful. It was divinely inspired, and it's going to touch everybody who connects with it, and I have my Akua doll right here, just as a reminder that, it is possible, and spirit gives us what we need. And sometimes it's not necessarily how we think it's going to come, but it'll come. Yeah, so that's pretty much the products that I'm selling as far as fertility right now. I don't sell herbal products anymore. As far as like like for, the menstrual cycle, because everyone's different. A lot of my juju mamas don't even know what's going on with them hormonally. And so there's different herbs to tackle different things, and a lot of times my juju mamas are taking an herb that's just, for everything. And it doesn't work effectively from what I'm seeing. And if it does, they conceive, but these herbs are not helping maintain the pregnancy. And it results in a miscarriage because the uterine lining wasn't strengthened, because that herb that was needed to increase the progesterone level was not there. But the herb for the ovulation conception phase was. And we don't know, because there's different body weights, blood types, biochemistry. It's a lot.
Yeah. Now, tell me more about Tam Inspires. Like, in addition to being, a Juju educator, you also have a platform where you're doing, obviously, you just want to inspire people. And I know you just mentioned too, even with the candle, like sometimes birthing is more than having a child. Like I was telling someone that I kept having dreams that I was giving birth or that I was pregnant. And I jokingly was like, well, I was not having more children. And someone was like, well, that doesn't mean that's saying you're going to have a child. Like, birthing dreams. And I was like, wow, the light bulb moment. So tell us further about Tam Inspires, because obviously, like I said, you do talk about manifestation and birthing more than just an actual child, but also birthing. So what is your platform with just your inspirational message?
Oh my gosh. So Tam Inspires was birthed. I'm Tam and I like to inspire people. And in order to be inspired, you have to be inspired, right? You got to be inspiring, you got to be inspired. So every single time I open my mouth when it comes to family and friends, I'm always uplifting them. I'm always inspiring them. And so that's where the name came. And my social media platform is to do that to anybody. It's not just my juju mamas. If you come across my page, I'm pretty sure something's going to inspire you or kind of scare you, because if you don't want to get pregnant, you're like, I don't know what juju she doing. I'm going to skip that. And then boom, it hits you. I get a lot of emails from that too. Like, I wasn't trying to have a baby, and then I came across your video and I'm pregnant. I'm like, I don't know what to tell you, sometimes we receive it in spirit without receiving it, necessarily in our mind. But yeah, I'm just here to inspire and to help people manifest and know that we all have our own spiritual wombs in which we carry things, and we just got to make sure that we keep that, we keep it protected, we nurture it, we fertilize it so that we can birth some beautiful, beautiful blessings. So,
awesome. Now, I also want to talk about, as I mentioned to you, the main platform of the Q Chat is actually addressing self-love. As we know, loving yourself and valuing yourself. Our bodies internally and externally, it's just how we achieve success, how we can be whole, and it just gives us a richer life. So how do you define self-love, and what role has it played in what you're doing to help women?
Oh, self-love plays a very good role in me. If I don't love myself, I can't be of service to anybody. That's where we create the boundaries. So many of us, we don't have boundaries. And so creating a boundary is taking care of myself, sleeping properly, eating properly, bathing properly, exfoliating, treating myself with respect and love so I can reflect it back to others. That's my form of self-love. And then when it comes to my juju mamas, self-love for me, like, I'm a Libra. I'm all Libra all through my birth chart. So I am Venetian love. And so balance and harmony and justice, right? So my juju mamas, I'm like, if you don't trust yourself, you don't love yourself. Okay. And I always say part of the manifestation is you got to trust yourself. You got to trust your own juju. And that's part of the self-love. It always goes back to the self-love. Okay. It goes back to the creating boundaries. Okay. You got to take care of yourself before you can take care of this person, that person, and that person. To me, self-love is taking care of yourself, loving on yourself, tapping it back into yourself and honoring the self that presents itself to you. I know I sound very poetic right now, but that's just how it is. That's how I've been this past 2 weeks. Like, just enjoying the different parts of yourself that's being revealed every step of the way, because we are continuing to ascend, we are continuing to elevate. And the version that was me 2 months ago is not the version you see right now. And that's because of the self-love and the growth. So yeah.
Wow, wow. So another thing I want to ask you, are there any things that you would just say for women in general? You know, I guess a lot of women, especially women of color, deal with infertility. So what are some things that maybe a person could do just, I guess, to maybe calm their bodies, have more peace, I guess, example, meditation or maybe eating habits? Are there any things that you would say would aid someone who may be having some issues and they've tried everything, but they may not have a level of peace to relax, or, you know, they may be putting foods in their bodies that may not be agreeable? Are there any things that stand out that you would say would help a person in their issues with infertility, just right off the bat, before even having like a deep session with you or having a Juju kid or anything like that?
Honor your feelings, like your feelings right now at that moment. Honor your feelings. And it's okay to just be in that energy for a while. Honor it, but don't stay in. If it's a lower vibration, the depression, don't stay in it, but honor it. I think so many times we want to skip through because we got things to do. We got to honor it and acknowledge that we didn't know better. A lot of us were on hormones since we were 15, jacked us up. A lot of us have been eating the wrong foods that has jacked us up. We have to realize that it's not a blame game, but a lot of it is our own doing. But we didn't know any better. We didn't know any better, but we still did it. We still ate that food. We still took that artificial hormone. We still allowed that relationship to happen that caused trauma. So honor all of those.
Right.
Yeah. First, you got to heal.
Right. Before we end everything, what would you like to leave us with? If you can just offer some inspiration, you know, whether it's a mantra, affirmation, just something that you would like to leave us with, Miss Tam Inspires.
That's a great question. Everything that we need as women, especially women of color, Black women, it is already within us. And just love yourself, trust yourself enough, trust that your ancestors are guiding you to manifest what maybe they couldn't manifest on this earth. And that was the healing. That was the love, the self-love. That was their juju that looks different. It's transitioning to something that is more relevant with the times. So that's what I would say.
Awesome. Thank you so much for enlightening us. Before we end everything though, tell people how they can connect with you, how they can follow you on social media, just how they can learn more about your whole platform, Tam Inspires, the Juju Education, where they can purchase kits, tell them everything.
Well, you can find me at www.taminspires.com. I'm also on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at Tam Inspires. That's it.
Awesome. Thank you so much for this conversation. Thank you for what you're doing. Like I said, I know a lot of women all across the globe are dealing with infertility issues.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of environmental things too that I think we contribute to it. So thank you just for having that platform. Because some people, I feel like some women have a level of shame which they shouldn't have to carry based on fertility, you know, and as a person may desire to have a baby and they may not be able to reproduce, you're still a woman, you know, and I think some people hold some terrible shame and pain, you know, they think that, oh, I'm less than a woman because I can't carry a child. But the ironic thing is we're so much more than carrying a child. And like I said, I know how important it is for people, but I just, you know, it's heartbreaking when people
it is
because of that. So I do appreciate everything that you're doing, and thank you so much for the conversation.
Thank you.